wisdom has to come before anything else, because in the Bible, when King Solomon was given a choice to, whatever he wanted, he could ask God for, and he asked God for wisdom. And the reason being is because, when you see how this world works, how, we have to function in this world, it requires a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom. Things could be given to us, right? However, we still need the wisdom to steward them properly. Let's say, for instance, if Solomon were to ask God for money, and if he asked God for money, he wouldn't have the wisdom to know how to manage it. He would lose it. And so this is the thing that I've even made the mistake of. I would go to God, I would pray to God for so many different things, and I would make it a huge thing for me to, like, oh, I want this, I want that. God help me with all these things that, God help me make money, help me to stay healthy, help me to do whatever. And it's like it just comes down to wisdom. God help me to get out of a situation, or help me to figure this out. It takes wisdom. See, if a person would just go to God and ask for wisdom, they would have the wisdom to make the right choices, not get in trouble, stay healthy, stay disciplined, have the ability to manage your finances well, be able to communicate with others, have good relationships with others. It's like, excuse me, it takes wisdom to know how to do that. Why would I ask God for money when it takes wisdom to know to get it? Why would I ask God for a relationship if it takes wisdom to know how to connect with the person to get, a relationship, to maintain that? Or material things, or health. It's like, I'd be asking God for all these things, which I've done in the past, I realize, and I kept wondering, well, like, how come I'm not, where I need to be right now? Like, I even sowing seeds, people who sow seeds and they don't really get much money, a financial, harvest, is because I feel like it just comes down to wisdom. Too many people in this world lack wisdom because they don't give you wisdom in the school system. They don't teach you wisdom. They don't educate you to be wise. Even just reading the Bible alone, yes, there's wisdom in the Bible. However, I think that a person has to read other books as well. You got to read other books. You got to read every book you can possibly read about a certain subject, whatever subject you want to learn. Or it's important to stay educated, to have knowledge and wisdom, and to make wise decisions. Make decisions to not get in trouble. Make decisions to stay healthy, to stay financially stable, to get a partner, a relationship. It just takes, all these things take wisdom. And if we're given these things without the wisdom to maintain it, then we would lose it. So I just feel like the only practical thing to really ask God for is to ask God for wisdom. It really only makes sense to only ask God for wisdom. I've even found that I would ask God and I would just pray for all these things, and it's like, it didn't make sense to me, because it just comes down to wisdom. It just comes down to having wisdom, to make wise decisions. You could tell how much wisdom a person has, whether they're Christian or not. That's not the point. You could tell how much wisdom a person has by looking at their life. Like, if you look at a person's life situation, yeah, you can tell if they have wisdom. It's fairly obvious, how you'll see a person who's well off, who has all their life together, and for the most part things seem to be going well for them. Yeah, because they have the wisdom to acquire these things, maintain that. You may see people who are doing bad. They're struggling, they're out and maybe on the streets, and it's like they probably didn't have the wisdom at the time. They might have made mistakes, and yeah, it led to them ending up in that predicament. But the case is like, it takes wisdom. It truly takes wisdom to do better, to be better. It all takes wisdom. It takes wisdom. Yeah, it takes wisdom to make wise choices, it takes wisdom. And that should be what everyone asks for, regardless of the outcome, regardless of whatever the wisdom is going to give you. I would expect that having wisdom, the outcome would be you would have a good life. That would be the outcome. So yeah, wisdom should be pretty much the primary thing anyone should really ask for, is that they have wisdom to live a good life, or that they'd have the wisdom and therefore they would live a good life. As it takes wisdom. It takes wisdom. It takes wisdom to know how to live a good life. How to make the right choices, how to, do what's right for yourself and for everyone around you. It takes wisdom. And wisdom also helps you to be able to control your mind, to shape your life, your reality, the way you want it to be. To not entertain stupid, foolish things, and to attract more goodness into your life. And this could apply to anyone who's spiritual, or anyone in general. Like, this could apply to people who aren't Christian or whatever. If they, it comes to a point where knowledge and wisdom is more valuable, yeah, than money. What's money gonna do? What if someone hands you money? What are you gonna do with it? It's the wisdom to know how to use it, because I couldn't just get a bunch of money handed to me and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do with it? I would need to understand how to utilize it. How to save it, invest, how to multiply it, increase it. And it takes a lot of wisdom to be able to it takes a lot of wisdom to be able to improve your life and to make that type of money. You want to succeed at something. It takes wisdom, practice, reading books, all types of stuff. And instead of wanting success at something, like, I want a successful business, well, it would take wisdom. It would take making mistakes, learn from it, reading books, studying nonstop everything that you need to know about it to succeed. But yeah, that's just my take on life and on prayer and what to prioritize in life is to prioritize wisdom. When praying, it's best to just ask for wisdom. It's really just this first primary thing is just to ask for wisdom. And it's best to prioritize wisdom and learning and studying things that, you know, you wouldn't have learned in school, you know? And yeah, it takes a lot of wisdom. School cannot make you wise. You may know things, but it takes wisdom to truly know how to apply the knowledge you've gained. So yeah, it's that. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.